Today we're going to be installing the roll bar for my 33 hot rod. Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel about kit cars and other car topics. If you like what you see, please subscribe and hit the notification buttons below and share with others on social media. So as I'm kind of putting everything together, it's about time now for me to figure out what I'm doing with the roll bar. And to do that, I got to actually put the hardtop back on the car just temporarily to kind of get a feel of where that roll bar is going to be close to the hardtop. So I'm going to have a friend help me get that back on the car. I've learned not to do that myself anymore. And let's see what it takes to get that to happen. So things have been going well, but what I've noticed now is my inventory system that I've had, which has some boxes in my office, and they're all labeled, and then I have some area in my kitchen that has a bunch of parts that are all spray painted and things like that. And then of course there's parts throughout this whole garage. But now that I've gone through the 34, 36 boxes and I'm down to just 5 or 6 boxes, and then I would have third-party parts that I've been buying, for switches and, wireless remotes and things like that. That's all been on top of those boxes. And so what happens is I don't want to actually dig into those boxes because then I have to move everything. And so I'm finally kind of noticing that my system's breaking down. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean everything, change how everything is, being put in boxes or actually take them out and have them in sections on tables and things like that. And that way, as I get through this kind of final phase, if you will, of building the car, I have instant access. I'm a visual person, so I need to see stuff. So stuff being in a box and looking at Excel sheets is just like crazy for me. It's a little too much. So I can at least see it, go to the table, grab it. Instead of having a bag marked 3401210, it will actually have that, plus it will say rear shock bolts or something like that, so I know what's going on. And so that's what I'm going to do to just kind of help myself out as I go through this last phase of getting things dialed in and mocked up. So right now I'm doing some odds and ends, and one of them is a touch-up because I decided to change from the stock battery holder to a custom third-party battery holder. And because of that, I drilled some holes in the panel that I don't necessarily need anymore. And so I'm going to be using some JB Weld. This stuff really works well. It's one of my favorite. This is the plastic bonder, and it pretty much bonds to metal, bonds to plastic, a bunch of different things, and it's super high strength. So I'm going to fill these holes so then when I paint my undercoatings and stuff like that, there's no gaps and it just looks really nice. So earlier I put a rivet in for a cable mount, which the manual told me to do. And then about 10 pages later, it said, hey, here's where you're gonna mount your horns. And it's like, well, which is it? So I just removed the rivet, and I'm gonna try to drill this out more so I can actually put my horns, and I can put the cable tie in there also. Last time I blew a drill bit while I was trying to do this area because it's really tight to get into. So hopefully I'm just reaming out the hole and it'll work all right. So now that I have the garage all cleaned up, I'm gonna actually go and start looking at all my panels and see if it's time to actually do some lizard skin and get that going. And because I think I'm ready for it. So let's see what happens. So I'm under the car right now and I'm trying to evaluate what panels need to be painted where. And so these are on the version 2 now, there's a separate floor panel that's underneath. And then there's another panel that is the inside of the car. And then there's insulation in between. And so this, I'm gonna have the color of the car. And this, I want to have the color of the car too, but I only need it for this little sliver that's hanging out because The rest of it is sandwiched with the frame and the insulation, so I don't have to worry about that. So I'm just trying to kind of take an evaluation to see where I need to do stuff. And on the other side, see, we're kind of in the same boat where, so you got the bottom floorboard, and then there's a steel frame part. And then you can see there's, I don't know, maybe about 3 inches sticking out. So that needs to be colored too. Now, you could say I'm getting crazy with this, but that's the kind of meticulous work I want to do. So I'm going to mark this stuff up so I know where to spray, and then we'll give it a shot. And we're also going to be getting the whole inside the drive shaft tunnel. And then it will look like that, which is mighty awesome. All right, so we got the garage cleaned, which that doesn't look super clean, but if you noticed before, there was just tons of bags of parts and stuff like that, which are still some, but these are like new parts that aren't associated with anything. But here's what I'm talking about. That whole thing was just getting started to get cluttered with all these different things, and you know, wire harness and pins for the roll bar, and this is now the waterfall bolts and emergency brake and all sorts of stuff. But now I have my muffler tips, headers, remote coils, hinges for the door, emergency brake, power steering wiring. Everything's kind of all laid out very nicely, and all that's cleared out. And now we're getting ready to do all the aluminum with some lizard skin and ceramic, and you can see there's just like 20 different panels right there. Got our floor panels, got our drive shaft tunnel, and then I'm also going to be doing the trans tunnel. So all this stuff still needs to be sanded. Months ago, months ago, I actually sanded all these parts for the trunk ready to be coated, and then decided that it wasn't time to do that. So we're going to, and of course there's this one too that I fixed earlier with the holes. We're going to have to sand all this stuff. I was going to get ready to spray, and I'm like, hold on, I got to sand all this stuff. So in the next video, I'm going to go ahead and sand all this stuff, and then hopefully start spraying and do a few coats. And you know, it meticulously needs to be masked off before I spray. So that's kind of the slowdown. But you know, with each one of these projects, it's like there's so many minute details that I just have to purge my head from what I did last time, and then get stuff prepared for the next one, and then just let it sink in for a little bit, and then do my research and dig in. So that's what I'm doing. I'm setting it up, let it sit for a day, let it sink in, dig in. Have a great day.